There's a lot happening in the banking sector. We have seen consolidation already. 4, 5 large, public sector banks. Now government is talking about privatization. We also heard, this proposed bad bank and DFI. Now, how do you see these development? In terms of competition, in terms of supporting the banking sector. I mean, how do you see these 4, 5, big themes which are now playing out or will play out?
So I'll talk about each one of them. As far as the new proposed institutions are concerned, both DFI and Bad Bank, we await the operational details of these new institutions. You keep hearing in the public domain about what it could look like. Obviously, I'm sure the government regulators and the policymakers have, as always, kept the interest of depositors and public at large at the forefront while arriving at these policy decisions. I am assuming that it will be nothing different this time around. DFI is an exciting concept and we welcome it. I think government realizes that there are similar models which exist in other parts of the world, and if government was to step in with a certain guarantee and a certain amount of seed money, that DFI could be leveraged in a very big way. Yes, they are talking about ensuring that it is run like a private institution, which is good. I also read in the news that government is ensuring that it is headquartered in Bombay, which is even more welcome. So they're really trying to say that I want to keep you away from my influence. And financing this massive national infrastructure pipeline in itself will need coordination and innovation across a range of financial institutions, both private and public, and DFI alone can't do it. It is a large need in the economy having a DFI today, because I think the banks have burned their fingers and hands in some cases lending into infrastructure projects. There are quite a few risks from a Indian, project financing perspective, regulatory, environmental, political, and risks. And I don't think with the kind of base which we have the ability to manage, projects for which go on for 15 to 30 years. I think we can fund slightly shorter term projects where the risks are well covered, or the sponsors are such who are willing to step up in case things go wrong. So I think something like DFI will be really, really helpful. We believe that it will be great for the economy if the institution of this were to come up. As far as the PSB consolidation and M&A is concerned, again, we wait for some of those banks to be named and what the government would expect in terms of the sales of those institutions. I think as and when it becomes clear. But my view is that, I think government is basically making a statement that I have enough large banks to be able to carry my agenda if I want them to. I don't need some of these smaller banks, and they're best, managed by private institutions who are willing to bring in huge doses of capital. Indian financial services industry remains a very enticing prospect for a lot of players globally, and so I think they can attract the right capital if they structure some of these transactions right. So we will wait for these things to pan out. I think let's also not forget that RBI has come out with its so-called report on how do they want to bring all the banks on par in terms of what their licenses allow them to do. They've also talked about allowing licenses on tap. It has talked about allowing corporates to get licenses. There is a bidding process which is on for PMC. Look at what they did with allowing DBS to take over. Yeah. So when you see all of that, you know that there is a lot of change which is happening, and change is happening at a rapid pace. It is good for the economy, good for the Indian banking system. More competition, keeps us on our feet and ensures that ultimately the consumer benefits, because higher the competition, better is the benefit which the customer can get. So in that sense, I think exciting times ahead. But let's also understand and appreciate that RBI is putting, and rightly so, and very, very rightly so. So I don't want to say, I want to say it with all earnestness that, RBI is also putting a lot of onus on banks on having the right technology infrastructure, having the right infrastructure to manage customers and their complaints, having the right kind of systems in place, that because there are, let's call it the neo banks or fintechs, that the interaction and the whatever is happening between, let's say, the fintechs or the neobanks and the banking system, or the regional banks and the banking system, is such that wrong players can't take advantage of it, either through gaps in cyber security issues, or gaps in payment infrastructure, or whatever that might be. The customers should not suffer, the depositors should not suffer, and the institutions also should not suffer. And in that sense, I think RBI will keep pushing that agenda in a very aggressive way, which will require continued investment from banks going forward.